and welcome to IB Study Video Lectures. Today we will discuss the 12th chapter of Grade 7 English Grammar and we will explore the world of tenses. Today our topic will be past continuous and past perfect tense. Let us first understand what do these tenses describe. So they describe the actions that has happened or were happening in the past at a particular point of time. Majorly, we need to understand the difference between the past continuous and the past perfect tense. The major difference is that in the past continuous, the action was happening at a particular time. And with the past perfect tense, the action had already happened, had completed before a particular time. Before this chapter ends, you will be able to explain the past continuous and past perfect tense, determine the uses of past continuous and past perfect tense, and formulate sentences using past continuous and past perfect tense. Before we go further, let's look at the following example. What were you doing? I had dinner and started doing my homework. So this is the conversation between two friends where one friend is asking, what were you doing? That means the verbs like were and the ing form of the verb doing, they have been used to ask about a particular action that was happening in the past at this point of time, at a particular point of time. So, but this boy is asking in the continuous form. That means that action is happening right now at a particular time. So what were you doing? I had dinner and started doing my homework. So I had dinner. In the response, when the boy said I had dinner, that means the action of having dinner, of eating dinner was completed at a certain point of time and started doing my homework. So, had dinner is the past participle and the past perfect tense. Were you doing is the past continuous tense. Now, let's study each of them in detail. Let's read the following sentences which are given in the past continuous and past perfect form. Past continuous. I was eating, I was not eating. We, you, they were eating. We, you, they were not eating. He, she, it was eating. He, she, it was not eating. Now, in these three affirmative sentences and negative sentences, what did you notice? Very good. We used the verbs was and were. Along with the ing form of verb, we have used was and were. So, in past continuous tenses, we will use the verb was and were for affirmative sentences, for the negative sentences, as well as for the interrogative sentences. And along with adding was, were to the subject, we will add the ing form of the verb like we have already been doing while doing the tenses. So, I was eating, they were eating. They were not eating, it was not eating. Similarly, while forming the interrogative sentences, we will simply interchange the positions of was, were with the subject. Was he eating? Were you eating? Wasn't he eating? Weren't you eating? So, always remember that with singular form of the subject or with the first person like I, we will use was. But with a first person but in plural form, or when you're talking about the other person you, so we, you, they, in these type of subjects we will use were. And with he, she, it, the second person, we will use was. So with the singular form of the subject, we will always use was, and with the plural form of the subject, we will use were. The short forms of was, not will be wasn't, and the short form of were not will be weren't. Let's study some examples of past perfect now. The form is the same. Had plus past participle with all the subject. So as we did the past tenses in the previous lessons, we formed it by using had. Had is the past tense of has and have, and we will add the past participle of the verb. For example, I had slept. I had not slept. She had slept. She had not slept. Similarly, with the interrogative sentences, we will interchange the places of subject and had, like had you slept, had she slept, I hadn't slept, she hadn't slept. So these were some of the examples of past continuous and past perfect tense. Past continuous are those sentences or those actions which were happening at a certain point of time in the past. But the past perfect tense are those actions which started in the past at a certain point of time but were finished before the certain point of time. Let's study all of their uses in detail now. We use the past continuous for an action that was still going on at a certain time in the past. For example, I was writing a letter at that time. What were you doing when he came in? We were watching TV when he came in. So these are the actions which were still going on at a certain point in the past. So when we specifically ask about a certain point of time, like what were you doing at 8 o'clock this morning? So I was eating my breakfast at 8 a.m. this morning. So similarly, what were you doing when he came in? We were watching TV when he came in. Verbs in the past continuous tense describe longer actions, while the verbs in the simple past tense are used to indicate shorter actions. As in the sentence be, the past continuous is often used in combination with the simple past. It shows that an action was continuing at a time when a shorter action happened. We use the simple past for the other action. So we use the simple past tense for the other action. That means the action came. So along with the verbs were watching, we use the verb, the simple past tense of come will be came. So what were you doing when he came in? We were watching TV when he came in. So along with were watching, along with the past continuous tense, some of the actions that are described for the shorter time, we use the simple past tense for the other verb. We use the past perfect for action completed before a certain point of time in the past. For example, by 8 p.m., I had completed the worksheet. So, a certain point of time by 8 p.m., what did you do? I had completed the worksheet. That means the action is still not continuing. So, there is no use of using the continuous tense. And the action has been completed before a certain point of time. So, always remember that is the major difference between the past perfect and the past continuous tense. We often use the past perfect for an action which happened earlier than another action. We use the simple past for the latter action. So, we often use the past perfect for an action which happened earlier than the another action. And for the another action, we often use simple past tense. For example, she had eaten. Had eaten is in past perfect form. She had eaten breakfast when I arrived. So the latter action, so there are two actions described in this sentences, eating and arriving. Somebody is eating and somebody else arrived. So there are two actions described in this sentence. So if we use the past perfect tense for the first action, we can use the simple past tense for the another action, for the latter action. Because that another action is describing our point of time. And we describe the past perfect tense are those actions which gets completed, which are finished before a certain point of time. So in this way, in this sentence, we will take arrived as the latter action. That means that is a point of time. Before I arrived, she finished her breakfast. Okay, so she finished her breakfast before I arrived. So in the past perfect tense, we will make she had eaten breakfast when I arrived. She had breakfast when I arrived and then she started breakfast. So in this particular sentence, the action has not been completed before I arrived. So here it means that I arrived and then she had breakfast. So we will not use the past perfect tense, but instead we will just simply use the simple past tense. She was having breakfast when I arrived. Now, when I arrived, she was in the middle of the breakfast. So in this form of a sentence, we will use the past continuous tense. With after or before, either the past perfect or the simple past is used for the earlier action. So it is very simple to understand that when the actions are completed before a certain point of time, we use the past perfect tense. If there are two actions described in the sentence, the first action can be past perfect tense and the latter action can be the simple past tense. Similarly, if the action had already taken place, had already completed, finished in the past before the point of time, that simply means that we can use the simple past tense. For example, she had breakfast when I arrived. When the action is still continuing in the past before a certain point of time, then we use the past continuous tense. And with the verbs like after or before, either the past perfect or the simple past is used for the earlier actions. So that was all about past perfect tense and past continuous tense. I hope you will keep revising your tenses and stay tuned for our next video lecture. Thank you so much.